Welcome to Sales Beast Podcast, when success is the only option. My name is Anna Marin.
My name is Mike Johnson.
We truly believe that you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So we created this podcast to inspire you and surround you with the ideas and thoughts of the most successful people in real estate.
Today we'll be meeting with the owner of a top 5 team in Keller Williams, Canada, the number 1 team in per agent productivity, a millionaire by 30, and an expert at taking his agents from 0 to 6 figures.
He was an experienced investor and commercial real estate agent of 12 years in the US before he moved back to Canada in 2015. Help us welcome Chris Knighton. Turn up your volume, kick back, and enjoy the episode.
So thank you everyone for tuning in today. We're here with our first guest ever, Chris Knighton.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
So can you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Well, real briefly, I've been in the business for about 15 years now. I started off originally from the Hamilton area, went down to Houston in the mid-2000s, and got into commercial real estate there and basically working on mid-level commercial deals, neighborhood shopping centers, industrial properties, a few office buildings. And best thing that ever happened to me and the worst thing that ever happened to me, the recession hit, and basically what was a really fruitful business that I was starting really everybody really felt that obviously during the recession 2007, 2008, 2009. And from there we ended up me and my wife ended up buying a lot of properties, shopping centers, office buildings, and started the brokerage side of things where we started getting to residential sales as well. So we did that for a few years, and then about 5 years ago, because of some family, not issues, but some family was much more important to us, we decided to move back to Canada. And it's been about 5 years since I've been back, and from there joined Keller Williams, got into residential real estate, and just kind of wanted to do that as a side thing while we took some time to figure out what we really wanted, have another kid. Well, that lasted about a week, maybe 2, and then I started losing my mind and really wanted to start building something again. So over the last 5 years, I guess last 3 years, 3.5 years, we've built Knighton Real Estate Advisors. It's a smaller team. We have about 14 people on our team, including 5 full-time staff. And this year we will do about 200 transactions, just over $2 million in GCI. And we were just talking that we just got kind of acknowledged to being the top producing team per agent in all of Canada, which was really, really important and really special for me to make sure our people are really productive.
It's amazing. I saw on Facebook the other day, you guys are also, I think, number 4 or 5 in the country last month?
That was for October. This month we should be number 3.
Okay.
So depending, because the numbers are coming out today or tomorrow. So, which we also, it's good to see that. We also don't compare ourselves to anybody else. It's just more of justification of what we're doing on a smaller team level to make sure our people are really, really productive.
Amazing.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. I think one person Anna and I really respect is Chris Suarez. So we were at an event with him 2 months ago, and he was talking about how one of his main focuses is on per agent productivity.
Yes.
And I think you really come from the same school of thought. So what does that look like? How can you take these people that are very new to the business and ensure that they're all making 6 figures as a bare minimum? Because I don't think there's anyone on your team really that makes less than that.
No, if they've been on our team for a full calendar year, they're making 6 figures. If not, they're just not following the system properly, and then we can adjust that, or we help them get on to the next opportunity. And it really comes down to if they decide to buy in completely, there's absolutely no way they shouldn't be able to reach that. And it's real simple when we break it down in terms of things that we focus on. And I know the MREA Red Book talks about their 5 jobs. Well, we essentially have 6 that we talk about. And if you look between, it's number 1 is lead generation, 2 is lead follow-up, number 3 is book and go on appointments, number 4 is negotiate contracts, number 5 is scripting and role play, and then number 6 we have is tracking, which, as much as Keller Williams talks about tracking, it's not actually part of our main job, which if you have experience without reflection, it really doesn't allow you to build upon that. So what we're really focusing is between number 2 and number 3, lead follow-up and then booking appointments. And if you can just shift somebody's mindset to the more people I get in front of, the more I can help them. right? Whether they work with you or not, until you're getting in front of people, you don't have a business. You're trying to get there. And then from there, we can say is, okay, I went on 10 appointments and only did 2 representation agreements. So you're about 20%. Well, it's real simple. If you want to double your business, either book 20 appointments and stay at that 20%, or keep with those 10 and do 40%. And then you kind of create that cycle of conversion where the more people you meet with, the better you get. So you can actually book more appointments and increase your conversion. And if you just start that momentum, and that's really all this business is about. And then coming to accountability and time blocking as well with that. Does that make sense? It's easier if I had a whiteboard to write it down on.
Yeah, of course, that makes sense. And, when I was talking to Val, I actually gave her a call to do quite a bit of research on you.
Oh, jeez. It's all lies. All lies.
She talked to me about those 6 jobs that you and your team really implement, and having an agent that's been in the business over half a year and already on his way to making 6 figures and plus. Mm-hmm. That's something really credible. She also mentioned that you guys are really big on culture and customer care. Can you talk a little bit about what that looks like for you and your members?
Absolutely. So again, I wish I have something for you guys here, but we have what's called a relationship building square, which encompasses building that relationship and building trust with our clients. Our big mission is to build trust with our clients so that our clients can build better lives. And that can actually be, the client can be interchanged with anybody, with other vendors, other realtors. So if we're building trust with other people, we have to help them build better lives, whatever it is. So that really encompasses everything that we do in our mission, our big why. And then we have, if you think of a pyramid, we have, everybody knows how to make high production, the triangle, right? Leads, listings, leverage. So we want to have high integrity, actually high integrity first. So it's client first, then does it fit within our culture, and then is what's best for our company. So if you think about it, it's client first, and then within our culture, does it fit with both of us, the client and the team? And the last part of that triangle is just the team. Now, if you look at listing and buyer side too, which makes the other side of that pyramid, on the listing side, you have presentation, which is up to the client to get ready for us to deal with it. Then pricing, which is client and team. And then promotion, which is all on us. So if you look at it kind of triangle going that way. And then on the buyer side, it's approval, which they have to get pre-approved to make sure we're working. Then action to make sure we're working together to find the right property. And then they hold us accountable on the team side. So all these things that we're doing together in this kind of pyramid is really building trust. And if we just focus on those 4 main things of our business, built with the foundation of our mission, it allows us to make the best decisions for everybody long term. Because a lot of times you'll make decisions which don't suit your best interest like today. Because if I can maybe push a deal through, but it's not really what's best for the client, but I can get a commission out of it, that might be okay for you there. But long term, are you building trust with your clients? And are you going to build a raving fan? And do you fit within that high integrity that we want to be part of? So.
Right. Coming back to that relationship building, Val actually told me a story about one of, I guess a nurture lead that you were speaking to on the phone, and she had been complaining about how her family, just didn't care about her. And her gardens were a mess, and she didn't know what she wanted to do, and you ended up sending your gardener out there to take care of all her landscaping.
Yeah.
That's absolutely unbelievable. And maybe they weren't going to transact right then and there, but you took that in your hands to...
Well, I find, me and Mike were kind of talking before this about if you care about people, people will care about you. And it may sound so cheesy and cliche, but if you treat people like you actually care about them, and you actually do care about them, it comes back to you 10 times over. Even if you never talk to these people again, a lot of times we'll either cold calling or we're talking to people and they find out, my mother just passed away. Never met these people before. Right away, hang up the phone, call the flower shop, and send, not with a business card or anything, just, hey, send it over to them, say condolences from us and our entire team. Nothing to do with business whatsoever, but actually treating people like people, not a transaction. And something like that with the Gardner case. This woman, she needed something that was very simple, and we have access to that. So if we can provide that for her, at the end of the day, she's almost in tears because someone actually cares about her and her best interest. Whether she transacts or not, it really doesn't concern me. but we've been able to provide value to somebody that actually really, really needs it.
And really creating those raving fans, like you said. Val did mention she did end up transacting with you a couple years down the road, as well as her son. So that's pretty incredible. Another question for you on that decision-making process. Obviously, your team is such a big aspect. You joining real estate and wanting to build something. Mm-hmm. What was it that drove you to Keller Williams? What made you make that decision?
Well, it's funny because I have my own brokerage and investment firms down in Houston, and had this crazy life already kind of built, and we decided to shut that down and move closer to family, like I mentioned. And my thought was I'm going to start another brokerage because there's nothing out there that fits the model that and culture that I want. Well, even though I was in Texas, I knew about Keller Williams. We didn't do a ton of residential, so I didn't know much about the company itself and the culture. And as soon as I found out, wow, they already have 100,000+ agents and I was trying to recreate that, I could literally just take that culture and start building what I wanted out of a brokerage business and selling real estate, and actually just use the models and systems and culture, like the WY4C2Ts. It literally, when we did our big why discovery with our team, we wrote all these things down, spent 2 days writing it all down, and we had this stuff on the whiteboard, what we came up with. And then it was funny, we're like, this sounds so great. And then we looked over, we have a big red wall with those on the board. Like, we just spent 2 days figuring out that we align exactly with those things. But it was a really cool thing to see. It was really the reason why we came to KW was the culture and the fact that, I mean, those things basically hit home with me, and the people that join our team and really flourish, I think that is why they fit so well within our team, because it really fits within the culture of KW.
Yeah, they share that vision, right?
Absolutely.
Just last thing I want to touch on before I hand it back over to Mike. Yeah. Obviously, we were all at the Growth Summit, experiencing it our own little niche. I got the chance to sit with Val on the panel, and it was incredible to see her actually tear up when talking about your team. Mm-hmm. What are some things that you do to create that kind of culture, aside from following the KW models or having those already aligned with your vision? How do you create that emotional attachment with your people?
I think really it's comes down to the same thing. It's so simple, caring about people outside of money and success and all kinds of stuff like that, where business is about profit first. If you don't make profit, you can't help more people, which is great. But and I think what maybe to a fault sometimes, I think what I put other people first, but not in it's tough to say. You really care about people so much, and I put so much into people. I know Val sees that all the time. She always says you do too much, or you give too much. Not in a bad way, but she's like, you give so much. But I find if you just go back to one of the best books I've ever read was The 5 Love Languages. Anybody ever read that? It's amazing. Read it with you and your wife. And then something along those lines, that when you go into a relationship, most people say, well, what do you think would be the good ratio between give and take in a relationship?
More give than take.
But what do you think percentage-wise? What should it be?
I would say half and half.
50-50?
Yeah, I would say 60-40.
So now I'm asking you this question. So it's actually should be 100-0. Because if you ever go into a relationship with your wife, your kids, anybody, your people you work with, and you give 50%, first of all, you're not giving 100. And if you don't get that back directly, you're actually putting expectations on someone and their own lives. If you're not getting that back, you're going to bring your level down to where they are. Whereas if I'm always giving 100% to everybody I know with zero expectation back, if I get 1% of their best, it's still something back in return. Literally no expectation. So my thing in life is literally give 100% to everything I do, to people, relationships, whatever it may be, and try to. It doesn't always work because the ego gets in the way, but expect zero in return. That way you're always giving, and essentially you're building a trust-based relationship from everybody you work with, that whatever you do, they know that you're giving 100%.
Yeah.
Is that too deep? I don't know.
No, I love that. No, that's awesome.
So if you're in a relationship, and I always think that's if your wife doesn't do what you're expecting of her, well, you're not coming out at 100 and 0, because I find a lot of people where they're resentment or disconnect comes with whether it's job, relationships, whatever it is, that they're expecting something back. Well, look at yourself first. Have I given everything possible with nothing to expect in return? And I think that gives you a life that, you know, you're always bringing your best, and whatever else happens, that's not on you. It's on you've taken responsibility for your life. I can't put an expectation on Mike. I don't know what Mike's going through today. If I come here and give 100%, and he's not feeling well, whatever it is, that's okay. How can I give more to him? And at the end of the day, I think over time it starts to come back to you.
Awesome.
Sorry, a little too much philosophy there.
No, not at all.
So yeah, next I'd like to talk to you about what it is specifically that you and your team do. I know you have Daniela, who in my opinion is probably the best listing agent in the city.
Good shot.
I don't know her well, but I look up to her and really respect what she's doing. And then someone I do know quite well that I love to death is Justin. Yeah. Hands down, best buyer agent in the city, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's awesome. They both are.
Yeah. What is it they do? We can start with Daniela. What is it she does on a daily basis?
So we have, again, it's all about being the doing the activities that are going to give you the most back in return. I think everybody, and we do have an amazing team, Daniela, Justin, Shannon, Aaron, like everybody that's on there, they do such an amazing job because they're focused on the right things. And the one thing that we're really, really trying to focus on is that if we can help people in our organization build a sustainable business outside of just like, say, if cold calling goes down in terms of opportunity or SEO leads, really what it comes down to is building an infrastructure, an installation around your business of a solid database and relationships, kind of what we talked about, so that after 2 to 3 years in the business, it takes time. Most people want to be at a certain level right away. They want to get out of the business before they've even built a business. What we really try to do is make sure that they have a culture around their sphere and their database, that they become the people that the general population can trust with some of their largest assets. And the way that we run our team, it's much different than most, where you have most teams where there's people on a team and they work under a team, but they're kind of individual agents there. We actually work hand in hand together on clients. If someone's buying and selling, we have a listing agent and buyer agent together working with them. And we actually incentivize our agents to help bring in more leads through compensation, but then also we get to work better and give better service and build more trust with people if we're working together that way. I don't know if that answers your question at all, but it's kind of building those relationships so that they can build a bigger and better business built on trust.
What does that look like on a daily basis? So when your lead listing specialist shows up to the office in the morning, what does she do?
Just, if you ask her, it's just put out fires all day long. I'm trying to get her away from that.
Yeah.
But really it's coming down to, from that incredible book right there, focusing on your Q2 activities, which is basically very important, but not urgent. So doing your follow-up, making sure the things that are done, like your 411, all these things, planning stuff first, the very, very urgent, which is mostly follow-up, because without follow-up, you don't have a business. And they say the fortune in the follow-up, I think it gets lost a lot in this business, where people just want to make one connection and they think they deserve a listing. Where, a good example, somebody, Justin just set an appointment for somebody that I had actually been talking to for 5 years. They won't be transacting for two, older couple, $1.5 million home in the lake. They just bought a new build that won't be done for 2 years, but that'll be a 7-year relationship in the making that they won't go to anywhere else, right? We've become friends with them. So coming in, hopefully getting your follow-ups done. That's the most important thing for me. Lead generation from there, whatever that looks like. And we have very specific, for each person's got their own specific 3 kind of lead generation paths within our greater marketing plan. And to capture people, put them in the database, and just continually provide value to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Can you share with us specifically what lead generation looks like? It sounds like you have a few pillars. What are the options for new agents?
So our SEO has actually been pretty good this year. I would like to increase that with, there's a lot of incoming leads, but it does take time for our clients, for our agents. I'd like to be able to have an ISA department that's handling those, so it kind of gives them more on their 20%. But if you have your basic ones like your social media, which should be having anyways, kind of the incoming stuff, your SEO, whatever the other things are happening, we have a platform stuff. But if you can make a decision on it, 2 to 3, we like to say 3 prospecting based additional sources that you're going, because I want people to build their own business. I don't want them to rely on the team, so to speak. I want them to like rely on themselves building a business. So if anything ever happens with anything, they still have a business that they're building. They're not just being salespeople. They're having a sales job. They're being business owners. So it could be, if I'm going to go door knocking, it's 4 times a week going door knocking. Or say if it's for open houses, if you want to focus on open houses, well, you better be out there door knocking, calling around that open house so you can get more people through there. And then you're focused on, your weekends are essentially open houses. And then you can take a day off during the week. Social media, actually it's something Danielle is going to be working on, is that not just putting stuff out there, but going and engaging with people. Because I think everybody says, I'm going to do social media marketing, so is everybody else. And until you're engaging with those people and you're able to get them on the phone or meet them face to face, you're still just, that's what everybody wants, right? They don't want to have face-to-face meetings anymore. They want to engage, but not engage too much. But if you're dealing with somebody's largest asset, you're going to have to engage them face-to-face at some point. So if you put an ad out there or something, some content, and it's great if people are engaging with it, but you're basically leaving it up to chance if they use in the future or if you become top of mind. So actually reaching out to those people, messaging them, say, hey, what's going on? I saw you like that. How can I help you today? Is there anything else I can provide value to you for? And if they're like, oh, we're not doing anything for 5 years, it's amazing. I want to put you in the database and be able to follow up with you on the phone or maybe even text. That way, if you need anything, obviously let us know. And then you build a database of raving fans and people that actually want to hear from you as opposed to just behind a computer screen.
Perfect.
Make sense?
Yeah. So one thing I've talked to you about before, I think we both believe in the 5 activities, but I would imagine you would agree with me. I think you win the day by winning the morning. And I've told you this before. You remind me a lot of Hal Elrod. I tune into your 4 a.m. videos all the time.
Appreciate that.
Tell me what the mornings mean to you and why they're so important to you.
Well, it really is. It's the rudder of your day, and your day is the rudder for your week for the month for your year for your life. And I can tell you from, I've been sick the last few days and I've been sleeping in and not getting up doing stuff, and it's the worst. I'm just in a haze, and I don't have any direction in my day. And I have 2 kids, so my during my day, I'm obviously working. At night, it's family, and then when the family goes to bed, I'm typically going to bed with them. But that morning for me is the most important part, because I get to, again, Hal Elrod's book, The Miracle Morning, I think has defined my life as an adult, a high functioning adult, because people say there's not enough time in the day. Well, there is if you're purposeful with it. And when I'm purposeful in the morning and I do my savers, especially meditation, journaling, and exercise, working out, if I do those things every day, I'm a different person. I show up different. I'm more aware of what's going on. I'm more aware of what's going on with my own body, my own mind. And it sets the stage for your entire life. And if that's not, I always put it this way, if you're ever starting a computer, right? A pretty amazing device, and you start a computer, it has to kind of load up and load the programs, everything. It's not just going to boom, turn on. Even though how fast they are now, they still have to load up. And then when you shut it off, it actually shuts everything down so that it actually puts everything into place. I look at your brain as a computer, but like a million times more powerful. If you're not basically warming up your system, your brain in the morning, and then at night shutting it down properly, you're leaving it up to chance at that point. And for me, I don't like that feeling at all. I like to be in control of my thoughts, my emotions, my feelings, and my day. And the morning is the best time to do it, because you're up before everybody else. You get to plan your day, visualize it, get those things that are going to bring value to you. And then my mission in life is to be the best version of myself every single day, so that I can give more to other people. And if I'm not doing that, I'm definitely not the best version of myself. And I know it from examples. Like if you ever just sleep in, or if you had too much to drink the night before, the next day isn't as purposeful. So being purposeful to everything is probably the motto of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so one other question for you. So Gary Keller, what he says is your income is based on your calendar. If it's not in your calendar, it doesn't exist.
Absolutely.
We've heard it 1,000 times. How important is your calendar to you, and what does it look like?
I don't know if you can see a visual on this thing, but my day is like complete to like, if without that, if it's not my schedule, it doesn't exist. And the one thing, and we talk about our 6 jobs, and then the 2 things that keep you accountable that are the accountability with coach or accountability within team, and then time blocking. And I was actually, somebody had this question for me, like how do people live without a schedule? And I didn't even think about that. Like, I think most people in this world don't have an actual daily schedule, and it gave me anxiety because I'm like, how do you know what's going on, right? And in our business or in any business, if it's not purposeful in your day, it just doesn't happen. And so I know a lot of people, I'm going to take Daniela, for example, because she didn't like the fact that time blocking was such a huge part of our culture, because it was almost like you're shackled to these time frames and what it is you're doing. But then realizing the more that you have something in place, schedule, and stick to it, it builds more freedom in the time that you have, because you get to understand what's going on. You know that everything should be taken care of if you follow that schedule. And when we talk about our 411s and putting your big rocks of your life, if those aren't in your data or in your time block, they don't actually happen. So are you really moving towards the goals that you want to achieve? And if you don't have that in there, there's no way they happen, especially at a high level. Yeah,
for sure.
It's the most important thing to keep me in check for my life is my schedule.
Yeah, I find like the discipline that comes along with time blocking, it really sets you free. And this is it's my 2nd year in the business. My level of transactions are pretty much the same. But because I've time blocked this past year, I don't remember the last time I worked a weekend. I don't work past 5:30 ever.
Yeah.
Same results. I'm totally content with them. But I get to spend time doing what I want to do outside of work.
Absolutely. And I do it from 4, usually I'm up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. And then straight to when I'm in bed. Like when I'm in bed, last thing I do before I start reading and go to sleep, I'll sit there in my journal and calendar out and just write in there what my morning is going to look like. So before I go to sleep, I'm already visualizing what's happening, and then kind of start the day off. You don't have to worry about like, oh, what am I going to do? Or
you know what's coming.
You know what's coming. And then after my mornings, I look at my schedule, what I have to do today. I already know, I've already visualized it. And then it's just like you can actually build more freedom because you're not an autopilot at that point, but you know what's happening, right? Like I didn't get out of bed till 10 today because I was sick, but I knew the one thing I had time blocked in here was to be here. So I wasn't going to miss it. And I only did was work my schedule around how could I be here today. Like it's really that powerful. And if it's in there, you've put it in there, and it's the most important part of your day to that point, and you can focus on that and that alone. And going back to the one thing, if you're focused on your one thing at that time, you're way more purposeful and productive. So
for sure. Now speaking of the one thing, good segue there.
Great segue.
What is your one thing that you're focusing on in your business for 2020?
2020. That's funny. One thing. The biggest thing for me is what we talked about, making our agents productive. I'm working on a training manual system onboarding culture indoctrinating process that I've been thinking about for 2 years, because we don't do onboarding very well at all. I mean, it's good because we have a small group, so the culture is good there, and it's easy to teach people if you have 3 people coming on. We do what's called a NATO, new agent training and onboarding, but it's not as purposeful as it should be. And those 6 jobs, you take our culture, the 6 jobs, and then 7 and 8 would be time blocking and accountability. If I can create a manual around there, I think I can give that to anybody in this business and make them at least a 6-figure producer their very first year. And if they just have those things, and that's really what I think we've been able to do well at a very small level. Obviously we want to grow our team and grow our production level. It brings more opportunity for everybody. But I can literally, if I took one person by myself and show them, I can show them how to be very, very successful in business. It's like, it's the one thing I think I can do really well, and I can't guarantee it, but if they follow everything and they fit well within our culture, I can guarantee they're going to make at least 6 figures and usually change their lives. But that's really, I think you're capped about 3 people per kind of go at it. Whereas if we can have this really good onboarding and training manual and system, you can give this to people in almost like a book form and say, just do these things. And if that's already in their head, the stuff that we're talking about in our team becomes way more purposeful for them because they already know what we're talking about. So long story short is I really want to work on being purposeful on getting people into production as soon as possible. And that comes with that training and onboarding system for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And on that topic as well, career visioning always talks about you can only manage 5 people at a really high level.
Mm-hmm.
Who are those 5 people that you manage, and then do they manage people under them, or what does that look like?
So I don't do a very good job of this because, well, Valor does a great job with our admin staff. Mm-hmm. We're still in the process of growing and hiring, right? I don't want to say slow growth. I want to grow production high first before we bring on other people to kind of, I don't want to dilute our culture and our people. That sound bad.
Yeah.
But right now we have Val, and then I rely on our agents to self-manage, but I'm still doing the sales manager role, mm-hmm. as well as someone in production and running the team as well. So one of our next hires will definitely be either moving somebody into lead listing or lead buyer role, or have a sales manager. But I also think that comes with that we need to continue to move production forward before we kind of over leverage, which I think there's a good balance. There needs to be a good balance between growth and then people as well, if that makes sense.
No, for sure. And obviously you're growing your agents at a really high level. Maybe you're keeping a smaller team, but their production is increasing.
Yes.
Now, one thing I wanted to ask about is more the ops side. Where do you see your operations side evolving into?
In what way?
What kind of vision do you have for Val? She's now your director of ops.
Oh, absolutely.
Where do you see her going?
Oh, so when we build out our team for 2020, there obviously more full-time staff comes in. Mm-hmm. She helps me run several different companies. She's basically my eyes and ears on the money side of things, that when I'm looking at it, she's already kind of vetted it and basically taken care of everything on the money side so I can look at it. I would love her to take over as a COO role or CEO at some point, but definitely building out we want to use the models in the MRA, but I have a very different vision on how I want to grow to get to 10,000 transactions a year, which is our ultimate goal.
10,000, that's your goal.
10,000 transactions. I think we can do that within Canada. I don't even think we need to go to the States. But that comes from growing that part of the business is going to, I think it's even more important than having the salespeople, because I can teach anybody how to be productive in sales, not just sell, but like provide value. The back end of that is the most important thing for me. We're looking at increasing our listing manager role so that we can continue to bring on more, the marketing side as well, and then we have several different companies or offshoots of that definitely Val will be a part of for sure. And what I don't want to do is limit anybody's. That's okay. I don't want to limit anybody's potential. So, but it comes. I tell everybody, because I want massive growth, and everybody wants that right now. And I think where I see a lot of companies, and I've seen it down south when I was in Houston, and here as well, where people try to just grow for the sake of growing and throwing stuff at it, see if it sticks. I want to grow with a very good purpose, that our foundation is, if something's moving forward, it's moving forward with a purpose, and that comes from production and profitability first. Yeah. So 2018 I called it our downwards growth year. I said it from the beginning. We kind of contracted a bit, got our systems and models a little bit in place. 2019 was our actual stabilization year, and we continued to grow a little bit. And then 2020 will be our massive growth year. We continue to build upon what we already have. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And what are some action items that you have for your growth map?
Biggest thing for me is that I want to be purposeful. I mentioned a little while ago about the ISA role, and me and Val were talking about this yesterday about not having it's not called ISA, like inside sales agents. I don't even like being called sales agents. I've never sold anything in my life. I've helped people make decisions. That's why we call ourselves advisors. But customer care or client care team that will be able to cultivate incoming leads and cultivate those relationships that gives our sales agents, our advisors, opportunities to work with the people that need them when they need them, and really leverage that out for our salespeople so that they can be even higher production every single day while people are helping support them. And leverage for me really is, I think leverage is a bad word sometimes, but people think, oh, you're just using me to get leverage for you. Where I look at it is you're giving someone else an opportunity to fill a role that's needed and give them the opportunity to build value in what it is they're doing to help you build value for the greater good.
No, and that's something that we're really focusing on in this team as well. I think it's more about the value proposition, right? Mm-hmm. When you're bringing agents onto your team, you already have a huge value. You know how to get them to high production. Mm-hmm. But adding that on and saying, you don't have to focus on all the BS. You just have to focus on your 6 activities and that's it.
Absolutely.
It's huge.
Yeah. And it's funny every time I talk to agents, it's so funny because nobody wants to, I shouldn't say nobody, like you people. Most people I see get in this business, they don't want to do the stuff that's going to make them successful. They want to look at the easy thing. I think that's why people rely on social media, and they put stuff out there where they don't actually have to, I call it boots on the ground. If you're going to build something, before you build it, you have to build a foundation. And what I find is that most salespeople want to get away from the activities because they're the hard things to do. Mm-hmm. They don't want to door knock. They don't want to get in front of people. They want to make it as transactional as possible. And I think it's the right now mentality, that, your generation, because you're younger than me, but I think even our generation is more like, how can I do as little as possible but get more out of it, right? And that's great in some ways, but if you're actually trying to build relationships with people that are very deep and meaningful, you have to have boots on the ground. You have to be the one building those relationships, because if not, you can just go into retail sales and sell a cell phone to somebody that's looking for a cell phone. It's real simple. Okay, how do I put you into this? Very simple. Where in real estate, you're not working with somebody just looking for a product. You're helping somebody with their largest, most important decision of their lives. Whether it's their first home, second home, or their 10th investment property, it's a massive decision.
Yeah.
Sorry, I talk way too much.
No, I love it. This is great value.
So one thing we really believe in, you are the average of people you spend the majority of your time with. Who do you surround yourself with? And
if that was
who of those people do we need to talk to?
If that was the case, I would be like a 6-year-old, because between my 4-year-old and my 7-year-old, I spend the most time with them. You know what's funny? I've been trying to get more purposeful on this because I totally believe that, and I think I have a different mindset around this than most people. I'm in a stage in my life where I don't have a lot of time to focus on other things other than my family and work. And I'm totally okay with it. I know most people are like, I want to go on more vacations, or they want to do other things to get away from this. I want to grow as much as possible right now, and I never want to stop. So the big thing for me is I get to spend as much time as I want with any amazing person in the entire world through books. And what's the nerdy thing to say, but if I want to learn from people, if I want to learn from the best in the world, I pick up a book and I read and understand them, because I get to essentially put myself in a room with them and hear their ideas. I also, and I had this conversation with somebody, they said it was really powerful when I told them this, that like every single person is better than me in some way at something. They're superior to me in some way. And every single person I meet, I try to get something out of them. Not in a selfish way, but like, what can you teach me, right? You know stuff that I will never know because I've never been in your shoes. But in terms of actual people around me, my wife being one of them, she's an amazing person, amazing mother. The people on my team, which I have a very small group that I see daily. But the people on my team are all kind of in that same realm, but I'm always trying to be more purposeful around the people I spend time with. And just, this is maybe a limiting belief, but I'm right now probably struggling to find that time. So the way I compensate for that is through books. And the one thing, if anyone's read Think and Grow Rich, a lot of people say they've read it, but most people will never do the thing where they have an imaginary council, where they close their eyes and they have conversations. I talk to Gary Keller, Danica Kokoska, Dale Carnegie, Stephen Covey. I talk to them on a daily basis. It may sound crazy. However, some of the most incredible ideas and conversations have come from the infinite intelligence of the universe. Now I sound like a crazy person. But no, anybody on our team, I think, you take somebody like Justin. I talked to him yesterday. I was in bed sick, and I was just thinking, he was in the business, he was a professional musician, and he was a postie, right? He got into doing leases, and it's not always about money, but he was making a decent living, working 3 jobs, and had 1 kid. It wasn't sustainable. Mindset wasn't there. And if you took a graph of where his life would have been if he had stayed the same, would have been okay, but it would have been just kind of a normal life. And if he had another kid, we don't know where he would have been. But if you look at when he joined our team, do you know how he joined our team?
No.
I talked to him one day and I said, listen, we've talked about it. If you want to join my team, you have 1 chance. You need to quit your job, be in the office Monday morning. This is on a Thursday. Be in the office on a Monday morning for Monday morning meeting, and you're coming to Bold because I have an open spot for you right now. And he said, oh, I got to think about it. And I said, think about all you want. You have 1 opportunity. He literally called me that day, I think, or early the next morning. He said, I walked in. I said, I can't give you 2 weeks notice. I'm done. I'll be there Monday. He walked in the office Monday with this. He just had a kid. They had, some debts and everything. They were just kind of starting out, right? No income at this point because he was still playing guitar and teaching, but no significant income. And he came into the office Monday ready to work. So that mindset around somebody like that, that's a person that I really feed off of because of being able to take that jump. Or there's somebody like Aaron who did that last year, worked for free for 6 months as an ISA to learn, and now he's well over 6 figures in 10 months in the business. So like Daniela, who quit her job as a teacher and decided to join our team and kind of go from there. Sandra, who's on our team now, who's mother of a 1-year-old, was in the business on the admin side for a while, tried out on the sales side by herself, and then joined our team. Like people that on our team that have just basically taken the leap of faith and like just absolutely changed their lives. And I think it comes with mindset first.
Yeah, like we've definitely seen that as well. When people dive in head first, they have no option but to run from the fear of losing everything.
Absolutely. Can I swear in this?
Yeah,
go for it.
Of like when Tony Robbins says, "Burn the fucking boats."
Yeah.
Like that guy, the general who got all the boats, and they're trying to take over this island, and everybody got out, and he said, "Burn the boats." And I was like, "Well, how do we retreat?" Like, there's no fucking retreat. You burn these things, we're going to take over, and we're going to win. They actually did. And if you put human beings in a position where they're either going to lose or die, they will tend to win. Sorry, win or die. Win or die. And you take somebody like, again, everybody on our team has actually come and had a very significant change in their mindset, in their lives, and anything. And like I see that every single day. So when I'm surrounded by those people, I get so like I owe my life to them. That's my big why, is to help them live bigger, better lives. So that I have purpose.
I like that. That's a good tagline for this podcast. Win or die.
Win or die.
I like it.
Have you coffee road in it yet?
No, damn it. No, but I always say that.
I
always say that, burn the fucking boats, because like, what a choice do you have? And not to get on like mindset stuff like that, but I think people are way too worried, myself included. Their ego gets up. What happens if it doesn't work? What happens if I don't look good? What happens if somebody says, "Who gives a shit?" Like,
just try it. Just
do it, and then do it again. And if you're worried what other people are thinking, you need to look in the mirror and say, "Why do you really care?" Like, I have a lot more to lose now than I did before. So obviously I'm a little bit more cautious about stuff. Like when I was just buying at shopping centers with no business doing that. I didn't have a wife and kids. It was a little bit different. So we had a wife, but we didn't have kids. But if you're worried about failure only comes when you stop trying. And it's just more of just keep continually doing it and not having the fear of if something bad happens. And my big mindset shift for this year, I had some health problems, whatever. If something is uncomfortable or I don't feel like, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed, instead of like diving into that, I look in the mirror and I'm like, this is amazing. This is the best opportunity because it means I'm growing. I'm not comfortable and I feel really like, oh my God, anxiety ridden. I can think, this is awesome. That means I'm growing in some way. That simple mindset shift has taken, that's honestly why I wear 2 Bold bracelets. One's for my first thought and one's for shifting my second thought. Because you can either accept what's happening to you or you can be like, this is fucking awesome. I get to build from this. And that's really helped me this last year. I don't know if that answers your question.
I think it ties in that Bold law, change the way you look at things and things you look at change.
Absolutely. So I always wear 2 Bold bracelets.
I put myself in some pretty uncomfortable situations.
Yeah.
But...
you're about to have a kid too, just wait.
Kid, bunch of houses that need to be renovated. new opportunities within this team, but
I love it.
you don't really have any other option other than to do that.
Well, and you just, I mean, that's not, I love the fact that, because like when we were having our first child in Texas, we bought like 12 houses and a shopping center, and everything was in, so like we had no business ever doing this, but there was an opportunity. The recession was kind of ending, and it just, I mean, the experience was incredible. You'll never have more than you can handle, because at the end of the day, I think where most people get kind of overwhelmed is that they're like, oh my God, I can't handle this. Well, if you focus on it and make decisions based on what's best for you, you can handle it. Whether it's offloading some things or saying no to some things, I think it's for most people, they have the opportunity, the option to do whatever you want in this life. It's a crazy thing to think about. You can do whatever you want. You don't have to do anything. Or you can do everything. Or you do some things. It's your choice, right?
Or you can do nothing.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
which some people are happy with that.
Yeah, it's
Which
true.
is, there's no judgment, but yeah, you have the opportunity to choose whatever you want. So.
well, thank you so much, Chris, for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. Sorry if I got a little too philosophical for you.
No.
That was amazing.
Yeah, definitely great. We'll definitely keep you updated on what Chris is doing. You can check the links down below.
And how can people get in touch with you?
You can call me direct. I love getting people to give me a phone. Most people like to give their cell phone out, but 905-515-1276. I'm cool with that. Or you can reach out, Chris at KnightonRealEstate.com.
Awesome.
Okay. We have a goal here also. I know you mentioned you're kind of crazy. You have these imaginary conversations with Gary Keller.
Yes.
At some point, I promise you, we're going to get him on this podcast.
That'd be amazing.
You want to come on with us?
I would love to.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And if we get you on the Gary Keller podcast, are you going to get Diana on our podcast? Because I know she's in your phone.
I may be talking to her this afternoon. So.
Nice. Let's make it happen.
And I'm going to be at his mastermind thing, so.
Awesome.
All
So you're going to get them both for us.
I'll get them both for you.
And what's our deadline?
Shit.
2020, end of
Is
the
this
year?
being recorded?
This is
2020
recorded
sounds
for
good.
now.
Nice.
Let's get them in here.
2020, the year of opportunity.
Awesome.
I love it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Hustling, every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling.